Hello, everyone. After all these storms, we thought Joy, at last, could live in peace with Yi and little Maya. But no one imagined that a nightmare from the past would return so suddenly. Her former mother-in-law, the same woman who had made her live in fear years ago, was back. Her gaze was still as sharp as a blade, her steps as cold as if time had never passed. She didn't utter a word, but a mere glance at her made Joy's heart tremble, as if it might stop beating. Would Maya, that innocent little girl, truly be safe? Would that woman use a sly trick to destroy the small happiness Joy was trying to protect? And most importantly, was the decision to return and start anew with Yi truly the right one? Had she opened the door to a new storm full of dangers? Join us in this episode. Will Joy face this matter this time, or will she flee once more? Will she have enough strength to protect her little family? That morning, the sky wasn't entirely clear. The fog still covered the thatched roof of the hut. As usual, Joy woke up early, lit the stove quietly, and prepared some simple breakfast dishes. The smell of hot rice mixed with the smoke of firewood filled the courtyard, which was still damp with dew. Half asleep, Maya's eyes sparkled as she yawned, yet she hugged her small backpack and leaned into her mother's arms. Joy, stroking her Maya's hair while tying the backpack to her back, said, "Come on, dear, we'll leave quickly so you won't be late." At that moment, Uncle Jay rode his old bicycle into the courtyard. His rubber sandals made a soft, squeaky sound as he pedaled. He smiled calmly and bent down to greet Maya. "Come on, I'll take you to school." Maya smiled broadly, jumped onto the back seat, and held on to his back tightly. Joy stood at the gate, watching them slowly disappear into the white fog. A strange uneasiness crept into her chest. She seized the opportunity to put on her conical hat, grabbed a large bamboo basket, and headed to the longan orchard on the outskirts of the village. It was the peak season, and the scent of ripe longans filled the place. She climbed the tree quickly, picked the ripe longan bunches, and carefully placed them in the basket. She intended to take them to the market later, but she stopped abruptly as she was about to leave the orchard. At the end of the dirt road near the intersection leading to the market, a woman stood with her back straight, wearing a faded brown blouse, her hair tied back in a high bun with a few strands falling over her forehead. She stood rigid, like a cold iron rod. As soon as Joy saw her from behind, she knew immediately. It was her former mother-in-law, the woman who had turned her youth into a life worse than death. Joy froze in place. She gripped the basket handle so tightly that her fingers turned white. She thought the woman was imagining things, but when the woman turned around slowly, her eyes were still as sharp as a knife, just as they had been before. Their gazes met. Neither spoke a word, only the sound of the wind could be heard among the longan branches. Joy began to walk toward her. She turned and ran. She hurried down a narrow path, hiding behind a bamboo fence, and took a deep breath. The woman followed with steady, deliberate steps. "Joy, is that you?" Her voice sounded hoarse but cold. "No," Joy whispered through her hat, trying to cover her face. Her voice trembled as if she were on the verge of tears. She didn't dare look back. She just clutched the longan basket between her arms, unconcerned about the fruit falling onto the road. Joy was about to run to the courtyard, her breath ragged. The longan basket slipped from her hands and rolled onto the wet ground. She slammed the door shut, leaned her back against the wood, and trembled from head to toe. There were no footsteps behind her. No one followed her, but that feeling still haunted her, as if a shadow outside was waiting for her to lower her guard to attack. Jay came out from behind the house. He was about to ask something, but stopped when he saw his wife's pale face. She couldn't speak a word. She threw herself into his arms, as if letting go would mean the collapse of the entire world. He hugged her tightly. His rough, calloused hands gently rested on her back, as if trying to soothe a frightened little animal. There was no need to ask. He understood. During years of marriage to another man, Joy had been forced to live under critical gazes, hurtful words, and long days treated like a stranger in her own home. And now, when it seemed the past had been buried under the dust of time, it was back, alive, cold, standing at the neighborhood's entrance, staring at her. That evening, while Maya was still at school, Joy couldn't calm down. She couldn't stay still. Her eyes kept glancing toward the village road. The mere thought of that woman appearing at the school gate made her heart pound fiercely. If she knew who the girl was, she would know she was her granddaughter. If she tried to take her away, that thought left her breathless. Jay approached from behind and placed his hand on her shoulder. He didn't make empty promises. He didn't offer meaningless words. He stood there like a sturdy wall, protecting her from behind. His presence was silent but strong. His broad shoulders, firm hands, calm gaze, everything about him made her feel as if she were no longer alone. There was no need to say he would protect them. His mere presence, without leaving, was enough. Outside, the past continued to creep like a lurking beast, but inside that small house, the fire was still burning. And Joy knew that no matter what happened, she would not face it alone again. The evening had arrived, and the sun began to rise gently. The sunlight spread across the dusty courtyard, slipping into an uneven spot between the mango tree branches in front of the house. Though her heart was still heavy with worry, Joy accompanied Jay to the backyard to feed the chickens. As usual, she wandered around them comfortably, pecking as if nothing had happened, unaware that their owner was living through days full of mystery. Joy leaned beside the feeder and poured a handful of feed. Beside him, Jay was fixing the coop's roof. The sound of hammering and tapping continued. That simple daily sound calmed her chest slightly, but the fear didn't go away. She whispered in a hoarse voice, "Jay, we can't live like this always running. Can we really go on like this?" He stopped what he was doing and looked at her. Joy followed, her head bowed, her eyes glassy. "I'm scared. I'm scared of what she might do. I lived under the weight of her hurtful words, under those gazes that made me feel worthless. I cried so much I thought I had no way out." His voice broke. "But now, between your hands and Maya, I don't want to lose anything else." Jay approached and sat beside her. He didn't try to comfort her with empty words or pretend to be strong. He took her hand, opened it carefully, and covered it with his warm hand, leaving the feed between their palms. "Oh." Joy raised her head with concern. "Jay, what if we stayed silent? If Maya one day betrayed us, if I couldn't escape one day, if the sentence wasn't complete, but was there a need for it?" She stared at him for a long time, then nodded firmly, as if making a silent promise. For the first time in years, Joy felt a small light inside her, not because the fear was gone, but because she realized now she would never face it alone again. The evening had arrived, and the sun began to rise gently. Joy pedaled her old fire-red bicycle, styled like Dream, worn out by the years. Jay sat behind her and hugged her tightly from behind. He didn't say anything, but his heart was pounding heavily. The road to the village school was as it always was, but that day, every tree and every person on the roadside made Joy look closely. She felt Jay's discomfort behind her, so she tightened her grip on the handlebars and slowed down, as if silently telling him she was with him. When they reached the school gate, the happy voices of children could be heard. Maya came down with her friends, her pink backpack swinging with every step. When she saw her parents, her face lit up, as if the sun had struck her, and she ran toward them. But before she could throw herself into her parents' arms, Joy bent down and hugged her so tightly that Maya was surprised. "Maya," her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to stay steady. "Listen carefully. From now on, if someone you don't know contacts you, even if they say they know your mom or daddy, you're not allowed to leave with them. Okay?" Maya opened her eyes, not fully understanding, but she nodded obediently. "Yes, I promise." Joy stared at her, as if trying to engrave those words into her heart. Then she looked up and scanned the entire courtyard, from the gate to the road outside. There was no one suspicious, no strange eyes watching them. She breathed a sigh of relief. She saw Maya standing between them, and the fire-red bicycle started moving again along the red dirt path. Maya began to talk excitedly about how the teacher had distributed prizes and how her friend Nam fell and dirtied his clothes. At that moment, Joy leaned her head on Jay's back. She held her daughter with one arm and gripped his shirt with the other hand. In that moment, she realized something. No matter what storms awaited them there, as long as the three of them stayed together on the same bicycle, she would have the courage to continue.